Hey everybody, I'm Shane Ireland. I'm here con mi hermano Henderson Ventura. Henderson, good to see you again. It's been forever.
Good to see you again. Yeah. Since yesterday.
Yeah, since yesterday. And I am in for a treat here. We have a lot of some of the most common components in cigar manufacturing. Yes. And you're going to teach me a little bit about how blenders taste them.
Yeah, we have some commons and uncommons components here.
Okay.
So the first things that we're going to try here today is like the tobacco that we use as a base of any blends. So 90% of all the blends that we make, we use those tobacco. Mm-hmm. That is this one, the first, that's a Criollo 98 Seco. We use those tobacco as a base. So for example, the Criollo 98 is one of the most complex tobacco by itself. Normally, each tobacco gives you a different stimulation in your mouth, but one direction. And the Criollo 98 is the only tobacco that you're gonna get that gives you a stimulation in two parts of your tongue. That is the bitter part in the back, but also in the acidic part of your tongue that is on the side. So you can taste like some kind of like a dark coffee or wood, or like a kind of more creamy taste that from the acid part. What we're tasting right now is the Seco. That is a fast combustor tobacco. The combustion of that tobacco is very quick, fast, but also you can experience the aroma. And the aroma, you're just gonna experience that nice aroma, like a more floral notes in the nose, on the retrohale. On the Seco Prime, because it's less oily, you're gonna get more aroma. More oily, like a more into the Ligero Prime, you're gonna get more flavor, more strength, and less aroma.
So you said Seco Criollo 98, most common in production. Is that just in the Dominican, or is that industry-wide?
Industry-wide.
Industry-wide.
Yeah, for example, like in Nicaragua, you get Criollo 98 all around Nicaragua, but they don't call the tobacco by variety. They call the tobacco by the sun. That is like Estelillo, Condega, Jalapa.
Okay.
But pretty much everybody grows Criollo 98. Or everybody switched to another variety of tobacco. I think right now they're growing a lot of Corojo 2012 in Nicaragua, but back in the days it was Criollo 98.
So I definitely get like the floral notes and the aroma. It's also instantly making me sort of salivate. But from right here.
Yes. Normally when you taste the tobacco, you do not inhale the tobacco, but you at least try to get the tobacco up to here. Yeah.
And what about the retrohale? When you're tasting components, are you doing that often, or?
Mostly in every puff I do retrohale, but sometimes maybe like a 10%. When you don't know a tobacco or a cigar, you normally do like just a little bit, like a 10% of the smoke through the nose. After you started to get used to, you do more, like maybe 50-40% of the. That's where you get more of the flavor through the retrohale.
Yeah. So if you're tasting this variety of tobacco, how do you know if it's what you're looking for? How do you know if it's right?
I mean,
maybe not right.
The first things with tobacco is like you should not experience like spicy in the lips, no spicy on the tongue in the front, no bitterness. Then what you need to do is like I should not tell you what you're smoking.
Yeah.
That's the first one. I'll tell you why we use that tobacco as a base. But then the following one are gonna be like where do you feel the stimulation, right? You need to figure it out. Smoke the cigar, focus yourself, and then you can start taking it. What do you experience for that cigar so far?
Like flavor-wise, or the sensation, or both?
Both.
Like I said, I felt instantly salivation on the sides of my mouth. I would say flavor-wise, like bitter chocolate a little bit. There's definitely floral notes, but I get that on the retrohale more than anything else. I feel maybe a little bit of spice on the palate towards the back of my.
The Criollo 98 is a spice base, like that's natural.
Yeah,
you're always gonna get a spice. Where's the strength level?
Not too strong, about medium. Maybe
like if you
like
rate it from out of 10?
Out of 10? Okay, maybe a little more, 6.5.
6.5?
Yeah.
Criollo 98 on the Seco is stronger than any other
Is it
Cuban
really?
variety. Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
really? It's difficult to tell the difference with one component. I mean, I find it difficult when you're smoking a whole cigar. I think it's true for a lot of consumers, the difference between strength of flavor and strength, actual strength, because it feels very flavorful, for sure. I'm sure if I kept smoking it,
It's a cigar. That's the thing. I will tell you. You don't feel like you tasting a blend already?
it feels like it honestly feels like it is just a straight cigar, like a full blend.
Like a full blend,
It really
right?
does, yeah.
Like you can smoke that cigar all day, no problem.
If you gave this to me and I didn't know what we were doing, I would think this was a cigar with more than one component.
That's right.
For
That's
sure.
the thing about the Criollo 98. That's why it's one of the base for any cigar in the cigar industry because of complexity by itself. You don't need to smoke more than that.
Sure.
All right. Let's try the other Seco. Let's try Corojo Seco now. Save the cigar just in case that you want to go back to the first cigars.
Understood. Got it. I mean, yeah. Now that you mention it, I guess I do feel a little bit more strength than 6.5 from the first one. So that you said that was the strongest, the first one.
On the Seco,
Yeah.
or like a first Seco, the Criollo 98 is one of the stronger.
Okay, so tell me about what we're smoking now.
No, tell me, what do you feel?
What do I feel?
Yeah.
Oh, it feels a little lighter in flavor. It's a little, to me, it's a little brighter, a little more woody. But the initial couple of puffs that I took gave me what I associate with creaminess, a little bit more than the first one.
Where do you feel the stimulation more?
Less in the front of my palate than the middle or the back, I would say. The first one I feel like I felt nearly all over.
Yeah.
And this one's it feels a little bit more further back.
For the back. Flavor profile?
Like I said, it's a little bit zestier. It's a little bit woody, a little bit brighter. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of sweetness, not a ton. And again, based on previous experience with like full blends, I would say it still has some floral notes to it as well.
Yeah. So this is the Corojo Seco that we're smoking right now. The Corojo is pretty much just the same as the Criollo 98. It comes from the same base of the hybrids of the tobacco. The difference is it gives you more stimulation in the bitter part than in the acid part.
Yeah.
You get the acid part more on the back side. That you feel more like citric than creaminess.
Yeah.
And do you feel like a little bit of sweetness?
Yeah.
You're gonna get more sweetness with that tobacco with more age.
Okay.
That's a 3 years old tobacco. If we make a cigar and you let it age for another year, you're gonna get more sweetness out of that tobacco also. What's the strength level on that cigar for you?
Compared to the first one, I said 6.5, but the first one was probably more like 8 or 7.5. This one to me feels lighter.
The something that you need to understand also when we're smoking a puro, but no press on the cigar.
Yeah.
It's made without press.
Yeah.
So when you puff the cigar, you have more open airflow, and you're gonna feel more. The spice is not strength.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the intensity of the flavor. How long it lasts in your palate.
Okay. I mean, this feels like the aftertaste is not nearly as long as the first one.
That's nearly.
Yeah, it goes away nearly. Like I feel like I have a pretty clean palate after puffing on this one.
Normally, the stimulation of the cigar, you're gonna feel it more in the aftertaste.
Yeah.
So it's the aftertaste that gonna get you the stimulation there.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, flavor-wise, I think woodiness and floral mostly, and yeah, it's definitely significantly less strong than the other one, from what I can feel.
Let's try the Ligero now.
Uh-oh.
That's 100% Ligero Puro. Normally, when you're smoking Puro, the Ligero you feel less spicy than the Seco because it's a slower combustion, more oily tobacco, but you feel more rich.
It's very rich. Yeah, it's very rich. It's very rich, and I feel like I could feel the strength pretty immediately. Not that it's super strong, but like my heart rate elevated after a few puffs. Ah.
How do you describe that tobacco now?
It's definitely rich. It feels more heavy on the palate. I can't, I think I am getting more bitterness than the previous two. Flavor profile wise, it reminds me a little bit of dark chocolate, a little bit of nuts. There's like a nuttiness to it, a little bit of earthiness, but my palate's on the dry side.
Do you know why you feel more bitterness on this one? Because the intensity of the flavor of that tobacco is more than the Seco. But it's the same stimulation on the back, on the bitterness
Back
part.
of the palate, yeah.
That's what changed, the intensity of the stimulation.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas I feel like I could have smoked the Criollo Seco as like a complete cigar nearly.
Yeah.
This one feels a lot more...
More straight,
Yeah.
more
yeah.
linear. Linear.
Yes, exactly. And the further I get into it, the more I feel the bitterness. It's not unpleasant though. It's like a bitter chocolate.
Like a bitter, like dark chocolate.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
The aroma is also very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the aroma is very woody.
Right. We're gonna smoke now another tobacco that is been in our family for a long time. This is HVA, but not regular HVA. We call it Punteado.
So you said this is a Viso priming. Can you remind me again? Obviously, the Ligero is going to be further up the plant, and the Seco and the Viso,
Seco is on the bottom.
the bottom.
The very bottom is the Volado.
Yeah.
Then the second priming is like the Seco. Then in the center you have the Viso, and then you have the Ligero on top.
So this would be a middle priming
That's right.
HVA.
HVA is a variation of the Corojo seed,
Yeah. hybrid.
more resistant to the blue mold
Okay. Where was it originally developed?
in Cuba.
In Cuba.
Yeah.
Let me try that one more time. Wow. Huh. So, I don't know if it's because we smoked the Ligero before this, but instantly this feels much more sweet to me. I mean, I definitely get maybe a similar amount of spiciness to the Criollo Seco, yeah. But the first light, I felt more sweetness, or I perceived more sweetness. I can feel this on the front of my palate and on the sides. This might be my favorite so far.
And totally different stimulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
More like at the middle of the tongue to the front,
Yeah,
and the side.
yeah. No, like the front and the sides of my tongue, I can feel it very, very clearly. Yeah. One thing about this that's interesting that maybe was different from the first two secos, I feel like I'm getting more of the spice through the retrohale and less of it on the palate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like very sweet and clean in the pollen, and more spice on the intense on the retro.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the nicotine level is higher. That's how we
Further up the
measure.
plant.
That's how we measure the strength, not the body.
Yeah.
Body is one thing for us, and the strength is another thing.
This does feel like one of the more full-bodied ones as well, though. It's really nice.
So
I could maybe smoke that by itself.
with those street tobaccos, those being like the street basis tobacco that we use here. Those street tobacco make 70% of the blend that we
Oh man, yeah,
make in our family.
yeah,
And if you're looking for make a complex blend, that tobacco gives you a bigger simulation, half of the tongue to the front.
yeah,
The Criollo 98, a lot of the side, a lot of creaminess, and then the Corojo, a lot of the back.
yeah, yeah.
So that's a very complex blend that make you a very random smoke all combined.
From these first four, I feel like I have
Yeah.
hit nearly everything. Let me ask you real quick on this one, because again, I think this is very, very nice. Is there one of the blends in your portfolio that would give somebody a good idea of what this tobacco does? I know you said it's in a lot of
For
blends.
me, I describe that tobacco. This is how I describe that tobacco. If you take a piece of wood and you wrap it with leather, and you burn both at the same time, like that kind of smoky, leathery wood taste. That's how I describe that tobacco.
Yeah.
That's the only explanation that I have for the flavor of that tobacco by itself.
Yeah,
That is very distinctive
yeah.
and unique and very enjoyable at the
It
same
is.
time.
Let me rephrase that question. Is there one of the cigars that you produce a full blend that is a good example of this, like where it's very obvious to the smoker?
We use that tobacco on the Explorer and also on the Queen Spur.
Okay, it's very familiar, and like I said, I think that's my favorite so far. Oops.
The first time that we ever used that tobacco, it was on the Long Live the King and the King is Dead blend.
Pretty decent blends.
Yeah, I remember when we first made those blends. Rob and me. Do you remember, Robert? That people say like they were smoking like they were getting like air fresh, something like that, like something like fresh into the market. That's what people used to say, about those cigars because it was something different to everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see some similarities between the two secos, but this is the most unique, I think, so far. We're gonna have a little mountain at the end.
My dad used to treat that tobacco like something like the most special thing in the war. And Rob and me, we make those blends, and he was like, like, you using that tobacco? That's too much tobacco. Just use half a leaf of that cigar. And he was bitching like so bad to me because I give that tobacco to all the blends for him. All right. Let's try This is a tobacco that I don't use on none of my blends. The only cigar that have that blend that we ever create, it is La Barba Purple. That's Olor Dominicano. Sorry, this is a Olor Ligero. just so you
Ligero,
guys-
okay. Great. Great, because none of this has been strong enough so far.
So the Olor Dominicano for me and the Broadleaf is very similar.
Okay.
Because the earthiness that both of the tobacco get you to experience. The only thing that the Olor is a little bit more funky, and the Wiz John is stronger, but with the age, it lost a lot of power. It's way less sweet than the Broadleaf. Broadleaf is like more sweet than chocolate. This one is like a more earthy, funky tobacco. But that's the typical original seed from the Dominican Republic.
Huh. That's crazy.
And you're gonna probably you experience that flavor in most of the old school, like a Dominican Maduro cigar, that kind of dirt,
It's minerally.
minerally, and like a kind of dirt. It's not not even earthy on the Ligero. It's like more like dirt.
Well, I don't mean this to sound bad, but like a lot of times when you talk about earth, it's like darker, mustier soil kind of earth, and this is more like sand. I don't know any other way to put it. It feels a little brighter than that, but it is. I also definitely get like the funk.
And this is also growing in the opposite side of what we grow all the Cuban seed. So we grow all the Cuban seed in the west of the Santiago province, and the Olor Dominicano is originally from Tamboril and San Vito. That is like San Vito is like on the edge of the Santiago province. It's between Santiago and Moca. That is another province. That's where you get the best Olor Dominicano. How do you describe that tobacco? Where do you feel the simulation of that tobacco?
I would say mostly on the sides, maybe a little bit to the back. For me, it's
Aftertaste. Remember the
Yeah.
simulation you're gonna get on the aftertaste.
actually maybe not. Hold on. Yeah, maybe. This one's difficult for me. I feel it on the sides and the back.
So it is for me. It's very on the right center until the tip of the tongue, right here. That's the salty part of your tongue. It's more salty. That's why it tastes more mineral, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's because the saltiness, assimilation you get.
This is very interesting.
And we call broadleaf bruli.
Really.
Kind of the same funkiness of that we have in the Olor.
Yeah, yeah.
Even the retrohale is very similar.
This one for me is a little more woody, a little more sweet. A little more cereal notes, like maltiness. The retrohale is on the spicy side. This one I feel more towards the front.
Towards the front. But you get more towards the front, but not right in the center. It's more.
It's on the sides.
Here.
Yeah. And I would say not quite as much as the Criollo Seco, but it did. I was salivating more than the last few that we tried for sure. There's also some leathery notes in this one. This is my second favorite so far.
Second favorite.
Yeah,
Tastes like a blend already.
it does.
Which one is your favorite ADVentura?
My favorite ADVentura? Oof. It changes. Originally, I would say the Navigator. But I've been smoking more the Queen's Pearl and the King's Gold lately. And La Llorona.
This is a tobacco that we use on the King's Gold.
Ah, okay. Yeah, the little small King's Gold box press.
We use Criollo 98 and we use Connecticut Broadleaf.
Interesting. So in your opinion, what does this add to a blend?
That kind of sweetness, but the nuttiness also that you have in the retrohale.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the priming, if you use more Ligero, it's more like a dark chocolate. If you use more Seco, it's more like an earthy, kind of sweet taste into it.
And you said this is the Viso,
This is a Viso.
so sort of in between.
Yeah.
I would also say that this is a little more. What was the other Viso that we smoked? Remind
We
me.
smoke the HVA.
The HVA. Yeah, it's the HVA Viso and this to me are still pretty rich. Maybe not as rich as the Ligero, a little more balanced. But yeah, I feel like I could smoke this straight and be pretty happy. Yeah, that's number 2 for me.
So that's the cool thing, like to get to experience like what is a puro broadleaf. How rich and nice is that tobacco, right? And so my concern with broadleaf, because I understand broadleaf by puro, and get to taste the broadleaf from the market, is that you never get to experience that into none of the broadleaf cigars in the market.
Yeah.
So with the King's Gold, what we were trying to accomplish, it was like to highlight the real flavor of the broadleaf.
Yeah.
So that's why there's like a rich, medium body, medium to full, perfect balance between strength and flavor, and you get to taste like that sweetness, like nuttiness, but also the earthiness in the broadleaf.
I feel like the earthiness here too reminds me more of like mushroom than it does like
mushroom.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it does. Like a portobello steak. That's really good.
And the spice is not peppery.
No.
It's more like a cinnamon spice. Like if you boil a lot of cinnamon,
Yeah.
it's not pepper spice.
No. Yeah, that's really good. Maybe that's number 1. I don't know.
All right, let's try now a signature tobacco that there is no blend in the market that have that tobacco yet. That's an Aromatico. That's a hybrid seed from Dominican Dominican Olor tobacco that engineer Peralta developed. And I tried for first time like about over 12 years ago. I tried that tobacco for first time. So when I started to grow tobacco in my own fields,
Yeah.
that was the first tobacco that we grew.
So you've grown a few crops of this by now.
Every year we grow between 30 to 40, that is.
Ah, okay.
Because I'm not doing nothing with that tobacco. I just grind that tobacco, processing, and letting age. And the yield of that tobacco is not very good, so we're treating it more like special for a limited edition or something like that.
Wow.
And the aroma of that tobacco, I'm gonna tell you right away why it's called aromatico.
It's crazy. So you didn't say, I'm curious, based on what we've smoked so far, I would guess that this was a higher priming?
This is a Viso.
This is
right
Viso,
here,
okay, okay.
That's what I call it. New tobacco right there. Like, it's totally different to whatever else we had.
Yeah.
I like to play. I think that's a tobacco that we can play like with people's brains when they get to taste.
This is unlike anything I've ever tasted. The aroma is like sweet and nutty and woody. I kind of feel this one nearly all over, but maybe more towards the back.
So the back.
Yeah, back and across the back, yeah.
I feel like I'm more in the back and also like in the front here.
It's like the tip and then the entire back. That's crazy good. God, that's crazy. I wish I could get this as a cologne. It smells amazing. It's like a musky, woody.
Musky. You get like a kind of the mushroom also, like a kind of the
finish also feels very clean to me.
clean, sweet,
Very clean.
kind of vanilla sweet, something like that.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I really like the HVA and the broadleaf, but this one I think I might finish when we're done here. That's fantastic.
So normally when we create blends, Shane, what we do, probably the base of the blend normally is like a Criollo 98, Corojo, those two tobacco, and then we add layers of like a layer of Broadleaf, a layer of the let's say Aromatico or HVA or like let's say what else we had, maybe Nicaraguan tobacco or Pennsylvania. So here we have another common tobacco that is being used a lot into the full body cigars. Most of the strength that you get, there is none of the Cuban or Dominican seed that have like a super high level of nicotine. Normally after you ferment and age the tobacco, Cuban or Dominican seed, they're like maybe 3.5% of nicotine.
Okay.
This one, Pennsylvania Olor Ligero, that's the only tobacco that we use on cigars that have around 7.25% of nicotine.
I guess it's a good thing I hadn't just smoked a whole bunch of other tobaccos.
That's a tobacco that you use just like maybe 10% into a blend because it's very mineral.
Yeah.
So if you have used the percentage of the tobacco that you put into a blend of those, you can have some sensation of like a kind of metallic taste. But the weird thing about that tobacco is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And the nicotine, you don't feel that much of the nicotine like on the mouth feeling. It's more like you get
In
more
your body.
like in your body.
Yeah.
So you get the sweetness,
Yeah.
you don't experience the strength, but then in your body you feel the nicotine. And it doesn't taste that much meat at all. But when you mix it with the other tobacco, it's like
It comes out strong.
It
yeah.
comes out strong.
For me, this one I feel more in the front on the sides.
Yeah.
It feels a little sharper.
The retro is intense.
It's very intense.
Do you see how you feel the nicotine of the retro and the nose now?
Yeah,
That's why I will tell you something. My translation always for the factory and the request from the customer when we were about to make a blend, So for us, the strength, like I want a strong cigar.
Yeah.
For us, like we can create a cigar that have a lot of spice on the retro, and for us that can be strong.
Yeah, yeah.
But sometimes you can have a very spicy cigar on the retro, but very clean in your mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
So for Americans and the consumers, strong is a full body that is a tobacco that is very rich in your mouth that like fill your palate, you know, with a lot of intensity. So, and the nicotine you feel it here on the retro.
Yeah. Yeah, this one is intense. I do feel the sweetness, but I wouldn't say it's maybe the spiciest, but I feel more spice, especially on the retro.
On the retro hill, not in the mouth. No, the spicy, the retro is almost impossible to do the retro with the Puro of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure our lovely high def cameras can see me sweating now. I don't know if that's because of this whole pile right here, but this is considerably stronger.
And this tasting, like tobacco, create a blend, is like is a memory of different of flavor profile that you accumulate through the years of being smoking puros.
Yeah.
Right. That's what gives you the experience of a master blender, or to understand the behavior of each tobacco.
Yeah.
And sometimes even when you're creating a new blend, you need to go back and like do the research or taste the tobacco again, or the new crop, because sometimes change a little bit between 1 year to another year, the level of intensity and the flavor of the tobacco. So you go back all the times. And this is what we do on the daily basic into a factory.
Yeah.
Just to warranty the consistency of every cigar. Every time that we taste a cigar that this cigar is not tasting like it's supposed to, what we do, we decompose the blend and we take the tobacco one by one, the different variety, to identify where is the fault of the blend.
So it's not just smoking finished product
No,
for consistency.
it's consistency.
It's consistency with the individual components.
And the last one we tasting, this is the Puro Toscano tobacco from Italy.
Oh.
7 years old.
Okay.
And that was a batch that I found.
Yeah. I think our viewers that have heard me talking about tobacco for many years, I smoke a lot of Toscanos. I smoke a lot of Italian and American fire cured. I'm excited about this.
So this is part of my hobby. Taste different tobacco from different regions. Like I tried like tobacco, for example, from Colombia, many years back to back. I think they have great tobacco. But the weird thing about the tobacco from Colombia that they call it cubita is if you smoke the tobacco like this, puro, you go like, man, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's different and amazing at the same time, but you make a cigar, it ruins this whole cigar.
It doesn't come through.
It doesn't go through. But my thought about that tobacco is the way that they do the fermentation and the curing. I think they do like a very a simple fermentation. They don't do like not even 50% of the fermentation that they're supposed to do on the tobacco.
Yeah.
And then they let it age. So the tobacco age like a kind of yellow. It doesn't get dark. But also like when you make the cigar, you can still taste the green. Because even if you don't do the fermentation right and you age the tobacco, you're never gonna get like the green out of it with the age. So now we're smoking Toscano, 7 years old, from Italy. This being one of the most interesting tobacco that I ever smoked. Not because it's better than any of the tobacco that we ever had, it's just different. And I think like when we create a blend, that's the point. Like if we're gonna create a new blend, a new line into a portfolio, and we do something more the same that we've been doing, it doesn't make sense. We just keep the same cigars, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So my thing with the research or look for new tobacco to make a new blend is to create a different experience. And I think this tobacco, the smokiness of that tobacco, and the age that this tobacco have, that cleanness, like a kind of smokiness that you experience with that tobacco is totally amazing. That gives you a different experience into a new blend. I mean, automatically when you light a cigar that have that tobacco, you can identify that you're smoking something different, right?
Yeah, yeah. I am pretty sure that if you gave this to me blindly, I would be able to guess that it was Italian.
Italian.
Yeah, it's
because you're used to it.
Well, I'm used to it, but also it's so much less intense in the degree of firing than American produced dark fired. It's a lot more. Yeah, it's a lot more aromatic and a lot more floral. It's not so smoky, so sharp.
Actually, the first blend that I ever created with the smoking cured tobacco was with Kentucky.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. It's just way more sharp than this one. And you can feel more the intensity of the smoky on the Kentucky. But probably also because the age. I never found a tobacco like that have 7 years old. And as soon as I found the Italian, I feel like, this is a similar experience, but way more refined.
It is. This is a very elegant, dark-fired leaf. And I would say I'm not getting a lot of sweetness, but there's a little bit of sweetness there.
Where do you feel the stimulation of that tobacco?
This one? Oh, man. Right now, I feel it on the tip of my tongue. But honestly, maybe all over for me. The retrohale's amazing too.
And for me, this is exercise that I'm doing with you guys here. Like, because I've been trying to figure out also whether I feel most of the stimulation, because I feel the tobacco that go like all around my mouth, like a full blend.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the difference is on this tobacco, what I experience is like more on the top, and some part like between the center of the mouth, like more like a down, what they call like a umami flavor.
Yeah, I think the Corojo Seco, the HVA Viso, and this, well, the Broadleaf as well, are the ones that feel like a complete.
But have a lot of citrusness also. Like it make your mouth like very watery.
This is so good. So is this Italian fired leaf? Is this anything that you're currently using?
I just used that tobacco in the Chancellor. That was a limited edition that we did. Yeah. The thing is, like, I found that
unique experience.
I found that tobacco. It was enough to make 20,000 cigars, and I have like about 10 belts more. But I bought the whole thing just to make sure like nobody's using that tobacco around here for a while.
But anybody out there that can still find the Chancellor, they can get a little bit of this experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. There are moments where this reminds me slightly of like Lakeland pipe tobacco. I'm trying to think of like something super specific, but in that sort of like vein, not intensely, but I get that impression. It also smokes totally different than in the actual Toscano format.
So, final, review, like all we taste here is amazing tobacco.
Yes.
Different profile. That's what we get to make to understand the consumers. Like, there's a cigar for everybody. The different blends that we have. You cannot judge a brand just because one single cigar that you try and you didn't like, because that's what makes all the different blends.
Exactly.
We're trying to make a cigar for every different palate. And there's tobacco from here that maybe is not you choice.
To your taste, yeah.
Yeah, to your taste. And there's tobacco that you're gonna love from there. So, and there's many blends that you can create just using 3 tobacco from here, just changing the percentages and the priming. Because just by the priming, you can experience like, On the Seco Corojo, I experienced this. On the Ligero Corojo, I experienced that. And just by switching percentage of tobacco, you can create a completely different flavor profiles and different experience into a cigar. So
yeah. This has been a really, really fun and really, really enlightening experience. I've tasted a few tobaccos in their pure form before, but never anything this intense and comprehensive. And I'll remind everybody out there that these guys, the ones who know what they're doing, not me, I'm tasting one priming from each of these.
From each of these.
Yeah.
We can spend
and
the
one
whole
crop
day.
year or whatever. Yeah, you could spend a whole day.
We can spend a whole day tasting
incredible.
tobacco.
It's incredible. But yeah, this has been amazing. And I would say one of these days you can make me something with the HVA, the Toscano 7-year-old, and maybe the Criollo Seco. Henderson, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Let's have a beer.
It's always been a pleasure. Let's have a beer. Sure.
Salud.
Salud.
See you guys.